This particular voice choir is singing a lot of films. They had sung on Harry Potter the week before. They're like movie
really?
stars. You know, pretty soon they'll have their own trailer.
Okay.
Fran Walsh wrote a beautiful set of lyrics for Gollum's song.
She was playing around with this lyric to this beautiful piece of music that Howard had written. And I said, so what are you doing there? And it was kind of like one of those moments where she said, I think this is Gollum's song. And it was like it was coming to her. She was discovering it for herself as she was writing it, that that's in fact what it was. That was the voice that was coming through.
We were quite lucky to have discovered half Italian, half Icelandic, wonderful vocalist named Emiliana Torini.
Emiliana recorded different early versions of it, actually, that were beautiful, and they were just haunting, and they stuck in our mind.
Okay. That is the perfect word. Haunting.
Howard is incredibly hands-on as a composer in his whole approach because he not only composes the music, but he also orchestrates and conducts.
Right.
Directors work in very different ways with composers, and I found, to my surprise, just how much manipulation and shaping you can actually do with the music track, even if you're in the studio recording it. It's not locked off. It's not, set in concrete.
Just come down there.
No, I think it's nicer if it doesn't.
Just let it play out.
Yeah. You want to last heroic note.
So
Worth it.
to be able to work with Peter as a collaborative filmmaker is a fantastic process.
I just can't get over it.
You're getting his input from
He's directing Howard Shore. You know, we need that last note.
So you're both sort of working together to tell the story.
I totally believe that music ties in very closely with the emotion of the film.
Oh, of course.
It's very, very important. It's just like directing the performance of an actor. So, for instance, Howard would play me something. I might say, can we please just make that more emotional? I didn't quite feel it. I just want to be a bit more sad. I talk in that sort of language. I don't usually talk in musical terms.
He would say, well, the Yurks would feel like this. They need to feel a little stronger here. I can work with Peter now to shape the performances.
It's a very important part of the process for me to be part of.
Is anyone else amazed by the fact that Peter is in like every single part of the movie making process? Peter is involved in.
After the shot of Gollum, when we're back on Frodo again, because it goes Frodo.
Like, how are you in the music editing room and the regular editing room and in the director's chair? And
Gollum similar to what you do on Frodo, which is just a sort of because we don't really know what the response is yet, and Frodo kind of accepts.
Flying in the plane, going out on locations.
And it's worth fighting.
Yeah.
The conceptual signature sound of the Lord of the Rings score is the London Philharmonic in the acoustic of Watford Town Hall.
We have to clear out on Friday nights by 4 o'clock in the afternoon so they can set up the weekly Friday night disco.
We've decided to record there really to create a sound that's unique to Middle-earth.
Yeah.
Working at Abbey Road was pretty amazing.
Peter is a huge Beatles fan.
One day we thought, well, why don't we just for a laugh go out and do what all the tourists do, which is to cross the pedestrian crossing outside of Abbey Road. And John Kurlander, who was there working at Abbey Road with the Beatles on the day that the photograph was actually taken for the cover, he said, well, I've never done it. I've never had my photo taken. So we said, come on, John.
So Peter, Howard Shore, John Kurlander.
Is he barefoot? Peter's barefoot.
Risk our life at rush hour and go
barefoot on the street
and try and get a couple of decent shots.
I think we've got some footage of us deciding who's going to go first, who's going to be John, who's going to be Paul, who's going to be Ringo. Of course, Peter's walking barefoot, so that helps.
Right, he was walking barefoot.
That street on Abbey Road is a major thoroughfare. There are cars flying by constantly.
And Howard was very nervous, and he just didn't trust the fact that vehicles were going to stop. So it was actually a hell of a nightmare trying to do it with
I would have been that way too.
Stepping onto the road.
And he kept kind of hesitating and sort of messing up a bit. There was one moment where a car zipped by, and I think someone grabbed Howard just in the nick of time.
With a little help from one of the PAs, we got some photos, one of which has ended up on the inside artwork of the soundtrack of Two Towers.
I love that they made time to have fun. You know what I mean? I'm sure the editing and directing and filming, you know, all of the whole process was fun. It's just a relief of the stress.
Just do something simple, and he said, "How about banging the gong?"
It's not enough that he's a writer and a director and a producer,
right.
But no, he has to get on that score.
We found the spot where Aragorn is riding into Edoras for the first time. He's seen Eowyn.
He has to get on the score.
He looks up a second time, and she's not there. We just wanted this kind of set gong sound.
Yeah.
So I got trained up. So it's all to do with the wrist, you see, the flicking the wrist.
Just playing the right part, otherwise it doesn't get the right sound.
Peter is playing the gong in the score. He's like, I need to do something else.
He had to do a few takes, but I think that, one of them takes. Definitely in the film. Sounds good.
One of them was in the film, just to hit it once.
The LPO really enjoyed it, and I think that's one thing that always brings to the process. He keeps it fun and upbeat.
Yeah.
Even though we were pulling incredibly long hours and people were exhausted and music
that would have tickled me so much if I was like in the orchestra to see Peter Jackson being a part of our musical production.
That Peter loved his hit and wanted to hear more of it.
Right, loved his hit.
Which is so typical of a musician.
This tickles me so much.
Next year I'll move my way forward slightly a couple of years, I think.
I think it's something to watch.
Of course, with a view to finally being on the podium.
Yeah. So Howard Shore, you better be wary of that.
Right.
That's right.
So funny.
The key point with the post-production on any movie
I love
is
that they
the
included
delivery
that.
date. And the delivery date is like the religious moment that cannot be altered, and in which the filmmakers have to hand the finished film to the studio.
Okay.
And from the end of October, they have enough time just to make 10,000 copies of the film to get the film into cinemas all around the world.
Even while we were scoring the movie, and Howard had written his music, Peter was still cutting and recutting the film.
It really meant that where the crunch was going to be was all around the time that Howard was trying to write the music.
We started doing the math.
Like last time, right? The music, because it's the last thing you add, right?
Put Peter on a formula that essentially he had to turn over 5.5 minutes worth of locked, edited picture a day. But that's how we worked backwards, knowing that was the only way we were going to make it, so we could start recording our music in London. Efficiently, we should have, had everything written in a perfect world. We would have everything prepped, ready to go, and we just recorded.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, though.
Done with all the music. But Howard hasn't even seen the final version of the locked picture.
Right.
It gets a little hairy.
It became like a 24-hour-a-day production.
We had music copyists working around the clock in shifts. That said, we had to get clever.
24-hour-a-day production, y'all.
Choral session.
He
Howard
said
can't
24
handle
hours.
Vocal soloists. So we put our heads together and we figured out a little divide and conquer. We had a little system based on the technology that's available. His team put together the ability for him to not only see us with a video conferencing unit, but we also had high-quality phone lines. So he could essentially produce the sessions while he was writing. For instance, when I was doing vocals, let's say with Abbey Road Studios, I ring his cell phone. And the code is 1 ring to rule them all.
The 1 ring was a code that
One ring.
for signaling that a mix was ready. So it was a way for you to be
1 ring to rule them all.
4 places at once effectively.
So all these kind of things conspired, and our scoring
They were
came down
using
to the wire and was actually overlapping with
every second
So
that they
now
could.
The mix crew in New Zealand needs Peter as much as we need him in London.
And so Peter then flew back to be there for the mix team. And the fact that we were scoring while you're mixing, that's like, something you always try to avoid. And luckily technology, came and saved us.
Based on Polycom video conferencing, you'd have a camera in both places.
Peter could be just like he was in a control room with Howard and have video conferencing as well as listening to the 5.1 Dolby music.
I think there was a few instances where I was on the podium. Peter was in New Zealand, and he's able to talk with me as if he was in the booth, 20 feet away.
So I'm seeing Howard conducting, and I'm hearing him live in my room in New Zealand. Perfect quality.
Right.
now we're like a well-oiled international machine.
It just makes you want to participate when you watch people directing. Oh, sorry, directing the orchestra.
The Two Towers. We finished by around November 1st, 2002, and it pretty much ramps right back up. And by December, we're in the process of gearing up, getting footage. Peter's locked the extended cut version of Two Towers in April of 2003, and boom, we're right into the cycle of getting footage on Return of the King. It gives Howard a chance to set up those themes that he would have liked to have had.
Right.
The Gondorian theme is a real central theme that's introduced in the extended DVD of Two Towers. And then, of course, leading us to Return of the King. I mean, this plays a major part of Return of the King.
Yeah.
In the end, I have to say, like, no matter how dark it was, I knew it was all going to happen. I didn't really have a fear of that. It was more just, are we all going to be standing?
Oh, right, okay.
You know?
Everything that's happened in this music process, the things we've had to do because this, that, and the other thing, have really unlocked a better way to do it.
I think it's very much a sort of precursor to what technology is going to be able to bring to the filmmaking process in the future.
Even in the darkest hour,
I'm trying to tell you.
I always loved it.
Yeah.
Because there only is one Lord of the Rings.
I'm trying to tell you, only one. It was incredible. Like, there was just too much miracle happening in every aspect of this film. Like, it was just, I don't want to say it's not going to happen again, but oh, the soundscapes of Middle Earth. I'm going to stop it here so I can get to it next time. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. What can I say? I am just so deeply impressed with every single part of this filmmaking process. I love music, but when I watch films, I don't necessarily pay attention to the background music, right? And then I finish the film and then I move on to the next one. But the music is there. It is an essential part of the story because it does drive your emotion. But I've never really been interested enough in a film to actually go back and rewatch it with the idea of being mindful of music at the forefront, right? And I have that in my mind. That is my intention when I rewatch all of the movies, is to really pay attention to the music as well. Because now I feel like I have a grasp on the story enough for me to not be so intensely focused on the characters, the actors, and, you know, I can have that and pay attention to that, but really just allow myself to enjoy the music as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. You know, it's so interesting. I did something that I said I wasn't going to do. I actually looked up Peter Jackson, and I did not realize this whole entire time that the friend that they were mentioning was his wife. This whole entire time, that like blew my mind. I was like, Fran, wait, his wife's name is Fran. Oh, there's a Fran in the Lord of the Rings who wrote it, who like co-wrote it with Philippa. And she's also a part of the writing songs. And at one point, I think they recorded her scream for the scream that wound up being in the films. And I was like, this whole time, I don't guess I missed it. Maybe they mentioned that Fran was Peter's wife, but I just thought Fran was another writer like Philippa, and she just for some reason is not on camera. Like, I haven't seen her in these behind the scenes appendices, and so that just blew me away. You know, I'm just so taken aback by Peter, just because he's like a one-of-a-kind type of director. He's so hands-on, and he's so, you could say, overly involved in the project, but it was what was required in order to get it done in the way that it was, and for it to be so cohesive and just, I don't know. I think that Peter was a great part of it being such a masterpiece, because that his mind, his vision was carried out by others because he was there. to see that it was carried out by the others. Like, he was literally on the couch chilling in the editing booth. Like, I did not imagine that he would be. I'm still, like, my eyes are still being peeled open to all of the different parts that Peter has played, and I'm still being blown away. And we're like coming towards the end of the behind the scenes for the Two Towers, and we still have all of the Return of the King to go, and all of the Hobbit playlist to go, and I'm just like blown away. Like, he was literally in the you know, doing the editing. I think you should do this. And he was doing the directing the music, and of course he's directing the actors. He's so hands-on that he's literally trying things out first. How can you not be impressed by him? I mean, it's impressive. And the music itself, like I said, I can't wait to give myself the opportunity to just bask in that. So many of you guys have suggested so many songs for me to just sit and listen to and react to. So I don't know how that's going to go, because I could do like music song clips separately. But when I do my rewatch, I want to watch it and focus on the music as well, you know. So we'll see how it all plays out. Like I said, I'm just so interested in everything. It's so interesting. I didn't realize that, well, I did realize it, that just like with the first movie, it's like crunch time, and they're still piecing the movie together to the very last second. And, you know, the idea that they were working on the music edits, which is what they were only supposed to be doing at the end, because the movie should have been done being edited together. They had to literally create a team at the last minute to come in and just get an office next to the sound crew in order to continue the editing at the last minute in order to get the film piece together. And they did it by the due date. Right, the due date that could not be changed, and they had to work around the clock, 24 hours, and they did that. It's just so impressive. You know, I'm running out of compliments, I've said, because it's like getting to the point where the level of impressiveness is not just outrageous, but it's like outlandish. It's like, how is this even possible, right? So, yeah, I can't wait to get into some more of the videos. I had to stop it now just because I'm running out of time. So, but thank you guys for joining me yet again. And I hope to see you again next week with another video. All right. So until next time, let's flow.